I'm Debra Duardo, Superintendent of Schools for Los Angeles County. And my story begins in Pico Union. I grew up in the Pico Union area of Los Angeles, one of 5 siblings in a Mexican-American household. Didn't have a lot of money, but I had a lot of love and a lot of support from my family. We went to school like everybody else, and everything seemed pretty good at school. You know, we got meals, we had fun. Elementary school was great, middle school was fine. It wasn't until I became an adult that I realized how poor we were and began to realize the disadvantage that children who grow up in poverty and children of color experience. Quite a discrepancy in terms of whether or not we are graduating from high school, in terms of the communities we live in, the type of work we're able to get, and whether or not we're able to be successful in life. But thank you, and just continue to do the great work that you're doing. You're making a huge difference. It wasn't until I transitioned from middle school to high school where I started to have some challenges. I was at that point where I wanted to have more money. I wanted to be able to save for a car and to be able to buy nice clothes. I never really felt like I belonged, and I never really understood why we went to school. That going to school was going to prepare me for my future, for a better job, for a better living, for more happiness in my life. So when I was about 15, I was working at Kentucky Fried Chicken during the evenings, and the manager came to me and asked me if I was interested in working full-time. And I was totally in. I was really excited. I wanted more money. And the only problem was that it was a day shift. I, right then and there, made that decision. No problem. I don't really like school. I don't know why I need to be there. And I went home and I told my parents about the great news that I was going to drop out of school and work full-time at Kentucky Fried Chicken. And unfortunately, what I learned from that is that to get ahead in life, to feel confident about who you are and what you want to do, you really need to have an education. And I was just sorry that when I left school that nobody really came looking for me. I wish that there would have been an adult that said, hey, you know, this is why you should stay in school. These are some of the benefits that you can get. You know, maybe eventually you can go on to college and have a career. All of that was foreign to me.
One of the big challenges we face in education today, and we have for the past several decades, has been widespread inequality, poverty, young people who don't have basic needs being met, food, safety, shelter. We also know there's deep-seated racial inequities that exist across LA County. We know that issues tied to our students' well-being as it pertains to mental health have become even more pronounced during the pandemic. So we are continuing to see a growing number of our students who are struggling just to have essentials met if they're going to be learners.
Yeah, I think it's really important that children hear from the adults around them the reason why they go to school and what they're able to accomplish by doing that. And sometimes they're not going to hear that from their parents because their parents haven't experienced that. That's why it's so important that their teachers and their counselors and other adults in their lives, whether it's through their churches or synagogues, that people are talking to them about how school is such an important thing. And that's really the job of a child, is to go to school and to do well there. After I dropped out of high school, I was working full-time. I had a boyfriend and I fell in love, and I had a very strict Mexican father. When I told him that I had a boyfriend, he said, no, you can't date. I was in love and thought, well, I'm not going to listen to what he has to say, so that led me to decide that I was going to elope. We would go to Las Vegas and get married, and then he wouldn't have a say in terms of keeping us apart. What really changed my life was having my first child. And my son Bruce was born with spina bifida, which is a neural tube defect. I knew the minute I gave birth to him that it was very serious. And I looked at the nurse and I said, what's wrong? And she said, well, you know, he's kicking his legs, so that's a good sign. And I remember even at 16 thinking, if him kicking his legs is a good sign, there's some serious issues going on here.
Having my mom as support for me was everything, because for a while it was just the both of us. She was there when I was in the hospital. and just she was there every day for me, no matter what. I don't know how she did it, but she was there and fought for me when I didn't have anybody else, and she's always stuck up for me from day one.
I wasn't sure if he was going to live or not, and I had so many doctors and medical providers trying to explain what was going on. I didn't understand any of them, and that motivated me to go back to school and get an education so I could better understand what they were saying and so that I could be a better parent to this child who was going to have so many special needs. If my husband got upset about it, if my family didn't support me, it didn't matter. I knew that I needed to do this for myself and I needed to do it for my child.
My mom is my hero. I've always looked up to her as someone for advice, someone I can go to if things aren't going great, or someone I can go to share, wins in my life. She's really the backbone of our family. With my parents splitting up young, she was always the more educated one, the one that could really understand not just my disabled brother, or my younger sister, or my older sister, but she really connected with all of us in a way that a mom can. So happened to be really successful in her career, and that's something I strive to get to. So yeah, consider her my hero.
Just all the challenges that she faced being our mom and having my brother with all of his issues and raising all of us kids, that really, played a huge role in her career and just managing everything that she does and, wanting the best for kids, across the county and all of that. Her role as a mom really played a lot into her career.
I ended up finishing my degree at UCLA, and I was working at a nonprofit organization, and I was exposed to someone who was a social worker, and I thought, that's what I want to do. Also, as taking my son to all of his medical appointments, there was always a social worker there, and I really thought I was going to become a medical social worker. I ended up getting placed at a school for my internship, was working with a lot of students and families, and I realized these students and families were just like me. They were poor people who didn't have all the privileges of having parents that went through the educational system. They were struggling with life's events. They had children with disabilities. There was divorce in their family. There was domestic violence. There were alcoholism. There were all these barriers that were preventing children from learning. And I just fell in love with the kids and the community and realized that I really connected with them and wanted to make sure that all children had a first shot at a really good education. But if the traditional pathway didn't work, I wanted to make sure that we didn't give up on anyone.
Good job.
And why I think it's important to talk about those issues, because we can't address them if we don't acknowledge them. And where Dr. Duardo has been so amazing as a leader, she's not afraid to tackle the tough topics. She understands what poverty is about. She understands racial inequality. Her lived experiences are so vital because she is not just talking about these issues in the abstract, she's lived them herself. And I think it means something for a leader who knows the challenges that young people face every single day just to get to school.
I just hope these kids feel hope. A lot of them are lost in the situation, and I couldn't imagine being locked up every day as a high school student, not being able to participate in proms and dances. So I just hope they leave here with hope, because a lot of them, talk a good game about what they're gonna do, this and that, and then they have to hit the streets and reality hits them. So the hope and the will to strive for themselves, do better when they actually get out on the streets, that's really what I hope I could bless these kids with, just hope.
We learn like compassion and new beginnings, how compassion being implemented into the world will there'll be a lot of change, and how new beginnings, you get new chances and start all over, or
All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all good? This is my purpose. I'm really supposed to be in this classroom with these kids, providing them this information. And I feel it on a daily basis. I go home, I feel good about what I do. I come into class, it doesn't feel like a job. And I'm able to just really talk and give these kids a lot of information that they need. And they're lacking.
Not everybody can take the traditional path, and for those kids who didn't, we should have systems in place and programs in place to make sure that they could finish their education. And that's really why I dedicated most of my career in dropout prevention and making sure that students were attending and that they were engaged and that they felt good about school and that there were programs to support their families to make sure that whatever the issues were, whether it was food insecurity or housing insecurity or drugs in the household or someone in their family was incarcerated, that wherever they were at then didn't have to stop them from reaching the goals that they wanted to reach if they had the support and some caring adults in their lives that could help them.
Reshaping, rebuilding, reorganizing.
Well, as a superintendent, I want to be very intentional about making sure that students have access to colleges, that they understand that they can go to college, that we have programs in place to help them with counselors that will guide them through the process and prepare them for that. I want to make sure that we're reaching out to parents and really letting parents know that college is an option for their children, whether they have money or not, no matter where they live, no matter their immigration status, that there are lots of programs and supports, and really helping people to understand that really getting an education is the pathway out of poverty. A lot of times children and parents are thinking, well, we need them to work, we need them to help support the family, but really looking at the more long-term effect, and they'll be more likely to be able to help the family and help themselves if they have a college education.
What college means to me is basically trying to figure out your life after getting out of high school and really figuring out who you are.
I want to be an ICU nurse and work with babies.
I want to be a law enforcement for the SWAT team of LA.
To get in college, I got to continue my education and keep learning.
College is a way to really just find yourself and find your goals and your career.
I plan to play sports, try to make it to the league. If not, I plan on working on classic cars.
I think that when you have experiences that you see you're able to overcome, that you gain more confidence in yourself and you start to believe that you are able to get past these obstacles that are put in front of you. And I think for children, they need to hear that. They need to see adults that look like them and sound like them or that have had experience similar to theirs. And to let them know that if I can do this, despite all of the barriers that I had to overcome, so can you. And there are a lot of people that care about you and want to see you succeed and are here to help you through that process.
Her whole focus has been around kids, first and foremost, and the self-care of those kids and families, and really listening to them and finding what their needs are. I've never found her to be somebody that always assumed that they had the answers, but more importantly wanted to seek out what the situation was in order to better deal with the situation and provide resources and support to those needs.
You said the teachers are really good here. What is it about them that makes
their personality is really good. They just understand what the students are going through, how much work to assign and stuff like that.
The pressing need right now is for us to be able to address the emotional well-being of our students. And this has been an area where Dr. Duardo has always focused. And she's always understood that academic performance really depends on children feeling good about themselves and having the tools that they need to manage their own emotions and their interactions with others.
The needs of our kids and our families and our communities is through the roof right now. Having Dr. Duardo and LACO as a core partner gives me hope, because I think we are moving in a direction that will ultimately have significant implications for a long time.
So I feel so blessed here in LA County that this has been a time where Dr. Duardo has been our leader, because I can't think of any other person so well equipped to actually be able to address the emotional well-being issues and link those efforts to children thriving academically.
Because I'll say, as a mental health guy, if we don't get the memo right now that mental health is a core need, we're never going to get it. You can't be a good student, you can't be a good teacher, you can't be a good family member if you're not emotionally well. Partners like Debra Duardo, LACO, incredible.
we need to encourage these students to come out of this pandemic to lead us in the future, which is just right around the corner. And these new teachers, I would hope that they're coming in with the same passion and the love that they felt when they were kids and bring it towards their new students.
It's such an incredibly important job. And that really, if you can connect with children, if you can be sincere and genuine in your love, in your passion, in your commitment for them, that you will see great gains in their instructional program.
We cannot teach if we don't love the child. And I love my kids, and I think they know it. And every exceptional teacher does.
But you also need to know that these children many times come from experiences outside of school that will impact their ability to learn. And that first you have to really establish a strong relationship with that child and with their parents so that they really know that you believe in them and that you're there to support them. And if you do that, and if you do it well, they will do anything that you want them to do because they'll really believe that you're in it for them.
She's a strong leader, she's intuitive, she's caring, and most of all, for me, she's the strength that you know, binds the family and holds us together. I love her very much.
I really admire her. I'm super proud of her. I'm constantly talking about her. When all the COVID stuff happened, I would always send like video clips to all my coworkers, like, this is my mom. Can you guys believe it's my mom? I love telling people about her. It's always like, no, you guys don't get it. Like, she dropped out of high school. Like, I feel like it's such a big deal, like so many things that she's gone through. So I'm very proud of her.
She's my stepmom, but she's my mom because at the end of the day, she's always made me feel like I'm a part of the family. And I think she really tries to do that with all of us. She tries to be equal in the amount of love she gives all of us and the amount of attention and support and guidance. And so I'm beyond grateful to just have her in my life. She's been a great friend to me. And so I really do love her and I'm grateful to have her.
And what I'm hoping is that we can do more work together, advocating through our legislators, doing as much as possible to make sure that we're bringing more resources to our children and families and to our schools.
The work she's done here at LACO has been incredible. Just really changing the face of the organization and really being an organization that wants to partner with community-based organizations, with our districts, with our county department of educations. I mean, just look at the relationships that she has built. They have been solidified better than ever before. So I was happy to be a part of that.
You know, being the superintendent of the LA County schools is an incredible responsibility, and I feel a lot of pride that I was able to overcome a lot of the barriers that I faced in my personal life. But it's also a huge responsibility and a real commitment to making sure that we're doing better, that every year we're making progress towards a more equitable system, a stronger educational program, that we have partnerships in place, that we're seeing children and families as assets, that we are advocates and really believing in them, that we're providing the supports to our educators, because this is extremely hard work, and our teachers and administrators and counselors and everybody else that works on a school campus is working really hard, and especially during a time like this, during a pandemic, that as we plan and look ahead, that we're doing a better job at addressing institutional racism, that we're looking at our systems, that we're thinking about all of our children, that we are collecting data that helps us to understand how all of our children are doing. We want all of them to do well. So I'm very excited about it. There's a lot of work ahead of us, but I know here at LACO I have an amazing team around me, and in all of our districts I see committed, passionate people who really care about children and really want to see children succeed and want parents to be a part of that process and want to work with other organizations that can help ensure that we're getting all of our children to that graduation and beyond.